In this video, I'm going to show you how to create feature control frames and datum identifiers in AutoCAD. Um, and there's a couple different ways to do this, and I'll show you how to do both. But before we get started, I want to mention that I like to add my feature control frames and datum identifiers in paper space rather than model space. Of course, as I mentioned before, always draw your model in model space. So before I get started adding the feature control frame, I need to make sure that my drawing is centered in the viewport. So I'll double click on the viewport and then pan around, center it up, and then pick a scale that's appropriate. And 1 to 2 will work well for this drawing. And now I will lock the viewport, and now I can get started. So like I mentioned, there's a couple different ways to do this. I will type in the leader command. This is the first way, and then enter. And of course, you'll be duplicating whatever's in your drawing. This is just a general idea of how to add feature control frames and datum identifiers. So let's say that we're going to apply a feature control frame to this surface. So I will just click here, and if I want the feature control frame actually referencing the surface, I need to pull my crosshairs directly out to the right. Notice I have my polar tracking turned on. You can also use ortho, but you want it to be collinear basically with the surface. Okay, so I'll pull it out just a little bit and then left click, and now I get some options, and annotation, format, or undo, and I want to select A for annotation. And now it asks me to enter the first line of annotation, text. Well, I don't want to enter text, I want a feature control frame, so I want to go into the options section. So I'll press enter, and now I get some options, and I want to type in T and then enter for tolerance. Okay, and up comes the tolerance dialog box. Okay, so let me just enter some information here. And again, you'll be duplicating whatever's on your drawing, but let's say this is a positional tolerance, and there's a diameter symbol needed, and let's just say it's under maximum material condition. The primary datum is datum A, and let's say the secondary datum is datum B, and it's under maximum material condition. Okay, there's several things that you can fill out here, and in fact, if you need a composite feature control frame, you can add a second line of information here. You can also call out this surface. Let's say if we wanted to call out this surface as datum C, we could also do that here. Okay, and you would do that with a dash C dash is the appropriate way to show that. So that's how you would do that. Now, of course, I would have to. You can see my feature control frame is not in a good place. Now, this is probably the biggest downfall of doing this kind of thing in paper space. So if this ever happens, you'll have to like unlock your viewport and then relock it and then move your information. Okay, so that's how you would do that. Also, let me show you, instead of calling out this as a datum using that special datum identifier, let me show you how else you could do that. So let me go back, and I'll add that feature control frame again. A, enter, options, enter, and then T for tolerance. And let me go back and put similar information here. And so I said this was A, this was B, and this was under maximum material condition. I'm just going to leave the datum identifier blank, and I'll show you how to add a datum identifier. So I could again use the leader command. Okay, so I can make this my start point and pull my crosshair straight down, and then I'll bring it over to the right 90 degrees, and then left click, and then type A for annotation, and then enter. I want to go into the options again, and then T, enter for tolerance, and I could just call this out as datum C here. And this is the way that it's probably more often shown in the book. You'll notice though that this has an arrowhead rather than the triangle filled leader. So if you have your properties palette open, and remember you can open it by just typing properties in the command line followed by pressing enter, you can, under lines and arrows, you can actually go and change that to datum triangle filled. Okay, so that's how you can use the leader command to create that. So now you can also use the QLeader command. So QLeader, Okay. Now, if you just start using the Q leader command here, chances are under your current settings it will be ready for text. Okay, that's the way you normally use Q leader. But you can also enter the Q leader command and go into settings. So I'll just press S and then enter. And under annotation tab, I can go down and select tolerance, and there's other options I can address there. But I'll just use the defaults. Under leader, line, and arrow, I can select the appropriate arrowhead here. Okay, and then OK. So if I want to add that datum triangle or datum identifier, I can just go in and let's say I want it here, and you can see that it actually starts off with the datum triangle. Okay. Now, what's the advantage to using Q leader? Well, once you add the settings, the next time I enter the Q leader command, the settings are still there. Okay, so if you had a lot of datum identifiers to add or feature control frames or what have you, maybe the Q leader is the best option. It's really a personal preference. So, and oftentimes with the feature control frame, you end up having to change the to match what's shown in your drawing. You'll end up having to go back and change the leader anyway. So you can go back and change that to a closed field arrowhead like is shown here. So Q leader and leader, those are two different ways to add feature control frames and datum identifiers in AutoCAD. And that concludes this video.